All right, let's break down this whole free house for $1 scam Tiffany was selling. First off, spoiler, it's not free. I don't care if it's a buck or a penny. Money is money. If you walk into Dollar Tree, load up a cart, and dip without paying, straight to jail. Because guess what? $1 ain't free. Yet Tiffany had the nerve to tell folks a free house costs $1. And honestly, that's the part that makes my blood boil. Tiffany, you're flat out terrible at this job. That's why they only gave you 4 years to tear everything down. But before we dive deeper, quick pause. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it.
Former Chicago
and drop
Mayor
your thoughts in
Lori
the comments.
Lightfoot
And by the way, yes, I'm sitting here in my green circle today, head to toe green. What y'all think? Love it? Hate it? Doesn't matter. We moving on. See, this right here was one of Tiffany's mastermind projects. One of those wild ideas she swore the trustees were just hating on. Her grand plan? Give every single resident a free house. Yep, her words. Straight face, no laugh track. Give me $1 and I'll give you a house. Like, oh, there's a vacant house on this block? Everybody on the block gets a house. Even though there's literally one house and a dozen people. And her solution? Figured out. Ma'am, what? Tiffany was out here dreaming big. In her head. She wasn't just a mayor. She was Martin Luther King reincarnated. If you've ever heard her speeches, you'd swear she believed she was a dream. She didn't just have one. She was it, according to Tiffany. The whole I have a dream moment? Yeah, that was secretly about her. And this delusion? She thought it was going to spread block by block across the city like gospel. But here's the real trap. Yeah, she'd sell you a house for $1, but the fine print said you had 6 months to fully renovate it. Now here's where it gets slick. Tiffany has a rep for holding up permits, stalling paperwork, dragging her feet until deadlines pass. So what happens? You can't finish in time. You lose the house. And boom, she forecloses. Guess who scoops it back up? Tiffany. Let's be real. This was a play all along. And don't forget about her sidekick, Mr. Holmes. Always lurking in the background. Ready to ride for Tiffany no matter how wild her schemes got. Defending her every move like a soldier on standby. But now, man is silent, mute, ghosted. The dude went from pit bull to pet goldfish, quiet as a church mouse. Then Tiffany laid it down plain as day. If they're not giving her anything, she's not moving forward. Period. No sugarcoating. No negotiations. Just hard stop. All this back and forth? Wasted breath. She couldn't have spelled it out clearer. No money, no land bank deal. That's it. End of story. And now here she comes flipping the script. Y'all need to include us. Y'all need to show up at my house. Excuse me? She's really saying, you'll have to drag me out by my ankles and tie me down, 'cause I'm not staying otherwise. And apparently, Keith's job is to handle that now. Oh my God. And let's not forget, she's calling them secret squirrel meetings, like she wasn't fully in the loop from the start. Girl, please. You knew. You always knew. Let me simplify this whole mess. Who's eligible for the lottery? Tiffany. Who's running the lottery? Tiffany. Who controls every piece of this? Say it with me, Tiffany. Brittany, I'm just being real. This is her circus, her monkeys, her strings to pull. You said nothing's coming to us. And you're right. Nothing is. That's why the trustees are saying, hold up, before we sign off on a blank contract, we need details. Because once that ink's dry, they're locked in. If it blows up, everyone's pointing at them. That's not hating. That's being responsible. And when it comes to moving forward, they already told residents after that housing meeting, everything will be transparent. Folks will get the info, see the process, know what's happening. With the land bank holding properties, there's control. At least things can be managed instead of chaos. That's the whole point. No unnecessary liability, no reckless deals, just a plan that actually works. Crazy concept, right? For the record, that's how adults communicate. You let someone talk. You don't cut them off with, "Are you finished?" You listen, then you reflect it back. "Here's what I heard you say." That's how grown people get clarity. That's how responsible leaders work. Not with gaslighting, not with word games, but with actual listening. Imagine that. Now let's be honest. Do we think Tiffany's actually going to do that? Or is she just running the same play she always does? I'll give you a hint, it's option B. History don't lie. And now she's throwing out that, well, y'all voted for the land bank card, which sure they did. But let's be clear, they voted on a blank agreement with zero detail. Tiffany's twisting words like a magician, try and make it seem like everyone else was clueless. Nah, sis, that just shows you weren't paying attention. And if this wasn't messy enough, get this, she was literally in my neighborhood. Atlanta, Georgia, Memorial Day weekend, just hanging out. And yes, I know exactly where she stood for that Instagram pic. Don't test me. I got Google Earth skills that would make the CIA jealous. I've got receipts. Speaking of receipts, let's talk about the block by block program. That little scheme wrapped in the shiny free house label. But let's pause real quick. $1 is not free. If you walk in a Dollar Tree, grab some stuff, and bounce without paying, you're not a savvy shopper, you're a thief. So how in the world does Tiffany expect us to swallow a free house costs $1? Make it make sense. And here's the wildest part. You voted for her after she flat out said, and I quote, "I'm not giving y'all a dime." She literally said it, and folks still cheered her on. And now y'all quoting her like scripture? That's insane. Because here's the legal kicker. If she didn't actually say that, and you're out here slapping I quote on it, that's defamation. That's lawsuit territory. That's how you get dragged into court. Now here's where it gets messy. They went back to the negotiation table acting like, maybe we'll get something out of this. But when it came down to programs for actual residents, not developers, not land banks, they shut it down. I brought something real to the table. And all I got was silence. Meanwhile, the land bank, they rolled out the red carpet. Full approval. Tiffany, blocked at every corner. And don't sit there like you didn't authorize her. You did. You expected numbers, a blueprint, receipts, something. Instead, Tiffany walked out empty-handed. No updates, no plan, just silence. She left the entire program stalled out like it didn't matter. That's her signature move. Start with a bang, end with nothing. But here's the kicker. Investors weren't even allowed to keep those houses. Couldn't rent them out. Couldn't Section 8 them. They were required to sell once repairs were done, so the village could take its slice. And those $5,000 cheap houses? Whole different story. You had to be a Dalton resident, live there 5 years, pull a 90-day permit, complete every repair in that same window, and pass every inspection. No shortcuts, no wiggle room. And the wildest part? Tiffany wasn't even in Dalton during half this chaos. She was down in Atlanta, chilling over Memorial Day weekend. I knew exactly where she was too. Pulled up on Google Earth, zoomed in, and pinpointed the exact spot from her photo. That app has become my new superpower. She thought she was slick? Nah. Caught in 4K from the sky. But let's really dig in, because I've got the receipts right here. A whole sheet of paper from the block by block program, the one with the so-called free houses. Tiffany swore they were free. Just $1. Let's clear this up. $1 is not free. Walk into Dollar Tree, grab something, and walk out without paying. You're going to jail. Why? Because you didn't pay the $1. So when Tiffany stands up there claiming, the houses are free, just $1, girl, stop lying. And y'all still voted for her after she flat out said, I'm not giving you a dime. Some of you are even quoting her on that. Do you hear yourselves? If she really said it, that's one thing. But if she didn't, and you're still running with that, that's not just shady. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. That's defamation. You can't remix her words and then act like it's gospel truth. Then they flip it like, well, maybe we can still work it out. Maybe money will come later. Tiffany swore up and down the program was only for residents, not land banks or investors. But they never even let her launch it. At least, that's what she claims. Reality check. They did approve it. They just wanted transparency, numbers, a plan. Instead, Tiffany pulled her classic, just trust me, then vanished with the details. Same exact playbook as the Cancer Foundation scam. Remember that one? She said, "It's for a good cause." I know someone who had cancer. But the money wasn't going where she said. She even tried claiming the foundation wasn't hers, except it was. Just like always, twist the story, dodge accountability. Act like people are crazy for asking questions. That's Tiffany 101. Now back to those dollar homes. For investors, the checklist was tight. You had to show $20,000 proof of funds, be a licensed, bonded contractor in Dalton, pull a 90-day permit, pass both initial and final inspections, or you were out. Plus, you had to put $1,000 in escrow. Then it went to a lottery draw, where 75% went to the investor and 25% went straight to the village. Sounds clean on paper, but the reality? Not so much. I'll give you a personal story. I almost bought one of those houses. Hire my own private inspector, and thank God I did. He crawled underneath and came back shaking his head. The place was literally sinking. Joist rotted, foundation wrecked. He looked me in the eye and said, "Don't buy this house." That one decision saved me thousands. And that's why I always tell people, hire your own inspector. Don't ever trust the villages. Because Tiffany's own history proves why you can't. Back when she had a rental, she put a single mom with kids in a house that was straight up unlivable. Flooding in the basement, feces, black mold growing so fast it was showing up overnight on the kids' shoes. Imagine your child coming home with clean sneakers, and by morning, they're covered in mold. That's the level of neglect we're talking about. The family got sick. The health department came in, tagged the place uninhabitable, and slapped a violation notice on the door. Should have been game over. But Tiffany? She went and brought in her own shady inspector who magically signed off that it was safe. She moved that mother and child right back in. The mold? Still there. The sickness? Worse. City had to come back and tag the house again. And people started asking, who cleared this? Who let this slide? That's Tiffany's game. She pretends to care, but in reality, she's cutting corners, using her people to rubber stamp disasters and putting lives in danger, skipping official inspections, playing dirty while families breathe in mold and fight illness. That's not just reckless, it's dangerous. That's why my advice stays the same. Hire your own inspector. Never, ever trust the villages, because if they're not missing it, they're lying for her.